saw you on MSNBC this morning. MSNBC, the boys over there and the gals look like beaten dogs. I remember last Friday morning, I think they were going over to the White House, Mika, to measure the drapes and Joe to polish the desk. They thought the race was over. Different attitude today. But look, it's no surprise my listeners here in Florida and around the country know that I'm an independent voter. I support both you and Mr. Trump. And I want to talk more about the contract with America. I think that's important. I think it's a wonderful contract. But before I start there, I got to ask you, what in the hell is going on with our justice system? This is not Venezuela. Like, really, Giuliani said it all. They claim he had an investigation of Hillary when there was no grand jury, no subpoena, no warrants issued. And when they brought Hillary in for questioning, she wasn't even under oath, no stenographer. And then the staff to destroy your devices with hammers. What is going on, and are we going to clean this up once you get into office?
Well, Phil, I will tell you, I think millions of Americans were deeply troubled this last July when, in the wake of all of what you just described, the director of the FBI came forward, identified a series of steps that Hillary Clinton had taken while she was Secretary of State, mishandling classified information on a private server, susceptible to foreign powers compromising that information, which included national security information. He literally indicted her in the press and then said that they were not recommending charges. And I have to tell you, it was for him to go to Congress 2 days later and essentially undercut even his own decision in sworn testimony before the Congress was troubling. But I will tell you, Donald Trump and I both have taken the opportunity repeatedly to commend the FBI and the director of the FBI since his decision was announced on Friday to reopen this case. They've come across what is being reported, at least publicly, as a large volume of additional pertinent evidence regarding Hillary Clinton's operation of a private server and classified information. And I think it was altogether fitting that he formally informed the Congress that they were reopening the investigation. And I think it is heartening to millions of Americans who believe that no one is above the law. But to your question, Donald Trump in the contract with the American voter, in the midst of that, we have a plan for fundamental ethics reform in our nation's capital to end the revolving door between the executive branch and what they call K Street in Washington, where all the lobbying offices are, the revolving door between Congress and the lobbying world, and to make sure that registered foreign lobbyists can't raise money for American campaigns. It's our plan to drain the swamp. It'll be a first 100 days initiative with a newly reelected House and Senate, and Donald Trump and I are committed to bringing honesty and accountability and a new start in Washington, D.C.
And I'm talking with Governor Pence, and I love the contract with America. And what I really want to talk about is I love your background with small business, because I think small business in this country has really gotten screwed. And I have so many friends in business, small business, and they can't get loans. They can't. I mean, they're treated like I don't know, but they're just terrible. And I know you are really for small business. If you get into office, what are your plans with small business?
Well, thanks for referencing my heritage. I started a little business of my own in the basement of my house.
I know.
Firm back in the 1990s. But I also grew up in a small business, a small gasoline station business. Our family had an ownership interest in. And you know that in the days of Ronald Reagan and frankly, throughout the modern era of our economy, that most of the jobs that are created by small businesses across this country. But it's been small businesses that have been bearing the weight of high taxes, excessive regulation, the lack of resources and available loans and financing, and of course the crushing weight of Obamacare, which has literally created this perverse incentive for small businesses not to grow beyond 49 employees. I mean, it really is extraordinary to see the way that businesses have had to work around this avalanche of regulation, especially Obamacare. And when Donald Trump becomes president of the United States, different than Hillary Clinton's plan to raise taxes. And she talks about raising taxes on the wealthy, Phil. The majority of small businesses in this country file their taxes as individuals, right?
Exactly right.
They use a pass-through, and an LLC or a subchapter
Right.
S corporation. And so she wants to raise taxes on small business job creators. She wants to increase. She was already, continuing the death tax. She wants to actually raise the death tax to, I think, 65%. And she wants to keep the business tax in this country among the highest in the Western world. We're going to reduce marginal income tax rates across the board to 3 simple lower rates. We're going to repeal death taxes, so you can have clear intergenerational transfers, which supports businesses in the city and on the farm. And then we're going to lower the business taxes in this country to 15%, so we can be competitive in the global marketplace. And lastly, we're going to repeal Obamacare lock, stock, and barrel, and replace it with the kind of health care reform that captures the power of the free marketplace, giving consumers more choices instead of empowering bureaucrats in Washington D.C. So it's a pro-growth agenda, and I have to tell you that with reelected majorities on Capitol Hill, all of what I just described will get done in the first 100 days of a Trump administration.
And that's terrific. And small businesses like in my community, all over the country, let's say employ I don't know, less than 20 people, they really need to be able to depreciate the new equipment they buy. And I mean like fast, in the 1 year, 2 years. That would be a great help. And I don't know if you have any plans for that, but that would be a tremendous help.
Donald Trump has spoken about that. People can go to the website and get all the details about that and other initiatives. But it's the contrast between what Donald Trump is advocating, Phil, and what Hillary Clinton is advocating couldn't be more dramatic. She wants to expand Obamacare and actually include a single payer element. She wants to continue to expand massive regulations that are driving up the cost of energy and driving up the cost of doing business. She wants to raise taxes, grow government. And it really is extraordinary at a time when we've seen America's economy stifled under the failed policies of the Obama administration. She essentially wants to build on that. And I tell people at rallies, I'll do it again in Florida today across 3 different rallies. Hillary Clinton doesn't want to just do the same. She wants to do more of the same, more taxes, more regulation, more Obamacare. And Donald Trump and I are determined to change the direction of this country and get this economy moving again.
And I love what you said about the requirement that each new federal regulation, you got to erase 2 old ones. That's terrific. That is the best.
Well, it really is remarkable. I mean, one of the things that we did when I became governor of Indiana was we signed a moratorium on any new federal regulation. And then we did a look back and did a cost-benefit analysis on the impact of regulation on businesses in the Hoosier State. That's exactly what Donald Trump is going to do on day one. And we're going to repeal every single unconstitutional executive order that Barack Obama has signed into law. What the American people can anticipate in Donald Trump is a president that's going to put job creation and growth first. And once we get a growing American economy, we're going to be able to meet all the needs of our growing economy, from national security to our commitments to our seniors, to making investments in infrastructure, but it all begins with growth, though.
I think it's a great idea about term limits. What's the idea behind that? I think that's true, especially when I see Reid. I said, yeah,
oh my.
Term limits.
Well, I think term limits for members of Congress is an idea whose time has come. I actually wrote a chapter in a book in about, I think, 1992 advocating for term limits in Washington, and then I would go on to serve in the Congress of the United States. I voluntarily left Congress after 12 years, and I do believe that we would do well to reinvigorate our national legislature with a steady stream of women and men who can bring real life experience to Capitol Hill. Too often Congress has become a place where people are very, very far afield from the world and from the economy that they're creating. And I think that the Congress was designed to be a place in the House of Representatives and in the Senate that really gives voice to what everyday Americans are experiencing, brings practical wisdom in, and it's a season of service for people. Spend time serving in the Congress of the United States, take time away from productive lives and careers in the public or private sector, and then return to their homes and return to their lives after that season of service.
And Governor Pence, this is the last one because I know you have to get going. Let's talk about the justice, about the replacement of Justice Scalia. I, as an independent, and then the reason why I'm independent because what's happening right now, I cannot believe that the leaders of the Republican Party are going out there and fighting Mr. Trump and yourself when there's so much at stake. I mean, these races are really about who you're going to put on the bench. I mean, I think that's one of the most important things about a presidential race. And for them not to back you, even if they hated you, the consequences of putting in somebody like Hillary that's going to maybe, 3, 4 new judges that's going to affect 50 years, 60 years, the selfishness, I just don't get it.
Well, I really don't either, although I'm very encouraged, Bill, by the fact that whether it's some leaders around the country like Jason Chaffetz and Nikki Haley or millions of Republicans across America, people are coming home. I mean, we were so grateful when Jason Chaffetz and Governor Nikki Haley announced that they're voting for Donald Trump in the last week. And look, we went through a 17-way primary. That can create a lot of tension and a lot of friction, and sometimes it takes time for those to heal within a party. But I really see this party coming together. I see this movement coming together, and it's a movement that goes far beyond the Republican Party. Of course, I mean, independents like you, frankly, many Democrats around America are drawn to Donald Trump's message for a stronger, more prosperous America. I truly do believe that for the sake of the Supreme Court almost alone, that it's important that Republicans and conservatives come home and support the Trump-Pence team and support the reelection of Republican majorities in the United States House and in the United States Senate. I mean, the next president will likely set the course and direction of the Supreme Court for the next 40 years.
Right.
And everyone who cherishes our liberties, who cherishes limited government, who cherishes federalism, our constitutional framework, our Second Amendment, all the liberties enshrined there, needs to make sure that Donald Trump is the next president to make appointments to the Supreme Court of the United States.
And we'll leave it at that. And you probably already know this. Some are coming home. Texas, you guys just pulled ahead in Texas.
I'm telling you, we're very encouraged. We have tremendous momentum in this campaign. I'm starting on the Space Coast in Florida today. I'll end the day at 6:00 tonight in Clearwater, Florida. A lot of your listeners I know about the Signature Flight Sport Hangar. Love to see them out there. We're going to be canvassing all across Florida today. My running mate is in Michigan. We are head down, kicking to the finish, and we're going to sprint to the checkered flag for a great victory for the American people, Phil.
Okay, well, safe travel, and thank you so much for sharing your time. And just get them. Go get them.
Thank you, Phil. It's an honor to be on. All the best.